It was the terrifying story of the sudden and unexplained deaths of the guys in my group. They were so well known that people believed my village was cursed. In the day, I had a date to drink with some friends, An, Yin, and Gao. After drinking until we could no longer see the sun, we split up and went home. Because An was the closest person to Yin's house, An took the initiative to bring Yin home. "You are too drunk. Let me take you home." Even though Yin was drunk, he refused An's kindness and asked to walk home alone. "I can't get drunk. You can rest assured. I'll go home. Goodbye, see you tomorrow." An was extremely worried about Yin, so he followed him quietly for a while until he saw Yin turn into a familiar alley. Yin walked into the residential area. He lived alone in a small 20 square meter room. He worked and supported himself. As soon as Yin got home, he sat down on the bed, took off his socks, sighed and rested. He had a bad habit of soaking his feet in hot water at night to relax his muscles and help him sleep better. So in the night, as usual, Yin soaked his feet in a large basin of water, comfortably enjoyed life, and went to bed. But we hadn't been able to contact Yin since the day, so all of them concerned went to Yin's house to check. An eagerly knocked on the door and called out Yin's name, but Yin did not respond. Because Yin lived alone here, An was worried and impatient. He didn't know if Yin had any problems in the room or not. An was standing thoughtfully when he felt water under his shoes. We immediately bent down to take a look and discovered that water was pouring out of Yin's room and spilling into the hallway. We all had a bad feeling in our hearts, so we broke the door and rushed in. When we entered, there was an unpleasant stench and the entire room was dark without a light. The gloom in Yin's room made us doubt his safety, so we all went straight to Yin's bedroom to check it out. We gently pushed Yin's bedroom door open and entered. Unexpectedly, we discovered a painful story. Yin had been lying motionless on the ground for a long time. His face was still in the basin of water. His body was already cold. An panicked and stood immovably on the spot. I and Gao hurriedly picked up Yin and checked his condition. Unfortunately, when we found Yin, he had died of suffocation. The second terrifying event occurred to Gao. Gao received notification that the item he had ordered from abroad had arrived, and he needed to go to town to pick it up. Gao hurriedly put on his coat and went outside, without realizing that the god of death was waiting for him. Gao's parents saw that it was dark and the road was dangerous, so they advised him to go tomorrow morning. However, Gao reassured everyone in the house by promising to return soon, and he was very confident in his steering. His wife stood at the door to see him off, always reminding him to be careful and return home early. Gao hummed to let it go and then hurried away. Looking at Gao's back, his wife was a little sad in her heart but didn't know how to describe it. Gao left the house, taking the familiar village road he used to take. He recalled his family's advice to drive slowly. It took a long time to get to town now, so Gao devised a plan to take a shortcut. The scene was dark now, and only the sound of Gao's car could be heard throughout the forest. Gao's car broke down while he was driving on the road, and the speed suddenly became faster, making it difficult for him to brake. Gao tried to control his car, but nothing could slow it down. The car was getting faster and faster, making Gao very nervous. Gao suddenly saw a sign in front of him. He realized that he was entering an area under construction. A forbidden sign appeared in front of him. Gao swerved to the side as a reflex to avoid the sign. Everything happened so quickly that Gao couldn't keep up with the pace and handle the situation in front of him. A loud noise rang out. Blood spurted out and Gao's head was severed in an instant by a rope. Gao and the car crashed to the ground, splashing on a nearby lawn. Gao's entire body was immobile on the ground. The road construction workers returned to work in the next morning. They were alarmed when they discovered the bulletin board and the rope had broken, leading them to believe that there had been an accident. The worker was horrified to discover Gao's body when he looked to the side of the bush. His body was covered in blood and turned into white. The scariest thing was that his head was severed. It looked so scary. A month later, when everything had calmed down, the next scary thing happened to An. In the day, myself and An went to the market to buy some things to visit the graves of our two friends. By chance, we came across a fortune-telling stall in the middle of the market. The fortune-teller invited us in to look at some of the lots, but An pulled away my hand because he was not a superstitious person. But the fortune-teller kept calling us, and his voice was so urgent that the two of us noticed and decided to go check it out. An coldly looked at the fortune-teller, wanting him to tell his story quickly so that he could go shopping elsewhere. He pointed at An and said, "You are haunted. You need to buy my charms to wear around your neck to exorcise evil spirits." An didn't hear him finish the foretelling and left angrily. He told me that the fortune-teller now only cheated and scared children, and he didn't want to hear anything else. The old fortune-teller still called An back, telling him to stay away from lakes, rivers and streams if he wanted to live. "If you don't believe me, you will only die." An calmly smiled and stated that such things didn't exist in the world. Then he invited me to join him at the bar for a few drinks tonight. I didn't think much of it, nodded in agreement and discussed with An about tonight's drinking party. The two of us quickly forgot the story which the fortune-teller told. In the evening, like the old time, I met An at a familiar bar where we used to drink. We drank together until late at night. Because both of us had a good drink, even though it was too late, we still didn't feel drunk. I saw An off for a while because our house was on the same road. Two of us passed a dike in the village, chatting happily as we were walking. When An reached the middle of the dike, he suddenly heard Yin and Gao's voices calling to him, causing him to turn around. But the surroundings remained dark and no one was present. I was surprised and asked An, "Hey, what is going on?" An immediately inquired as to whether or not I had heard anyone calling. I looked at An perplexedly. His face was now filled with panic expressions, and he was adamant that he had seen Gao and Yin. I immediately reassured An that it was possible that he was drunk and might have misheard something, so I took him home. When An got home, his face was pale. I was worried. After dropping An at his house, I then returned to mine with a peace of mind. A few days later, we heard that An had gone missing after drinking with me, so the whole village organized a search. An's family also informed the police, but nothing had changed. I too was heartbroken and terrified, recalling the fortune-teller's words to us and knowing that they had come true on An. At the same time, the village's sewer system unexpectedly broke down, preventing water from entering the field. People suspected that it had become blocked. As a result, when the blockage was discovered, the workers broke the water pipes and discovered a horrific scene. It was terrifying because there was a dead body in the sewer. The corpse was decomposed and gave off a strong smell, which was the reason why the sewer pipes were blocked. It was scary that the body was An's. It turned out that he slipped and fell into the sewer and got stuck there in the previous night. I was shocked when I realized that the fortune teller's words had come true.